Welcome back to Mighty Habits, everybody. I'm Steven,
And I'm Mary.
and we are ready for another deep dive,
That's right.
this time into a book that has been helping people
Mm.
for almost 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
How to Be an Adult in Relationships
Yes.
by Dr. Dave Richo.
That's right. And it's actually coming up on its 20th anniversary,
Wow.
which is really impressive, I think, for a relationship book to
Yeah.
still be resonating.
I mean, it really shows you how much it struck a nerve with people.
Absolutely.
When I first picked it up, I was like, wait a minute. I thought I was an adult already.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then I realized that
Mhm.
Dr. Richo's not talking about,
Yeah.
doing your dishes and paying your bills on time.
No, not at all.
This is about a whole deeper level of what it means to be an adult
It really is.
in a relationship.
Yeah.
And he does it through these 5 A's:
Mm-hmm.
attention, acceptance, appreciation,
Oh.
affection, and allowing.
Right.
So why are these so crucial?
Well, I think it's helpful to think of them as sort of the essential nutrients for a thriving relationship.
Yeah.
You need all five to be present, and when one or more are missing, the whole system can get out of whack.
It's like a recipe.
Yes,
You
exactly.
leave out a key ingredient and the whole dish falls apart.
Exactly.
But how do these A's really play out in a relationship?
Well, let's start with attention.
Okay.
That's really about being present with your partner, giving them your undivided focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about, half listening while you're scrolling on your phone.
Right.
It's about truly tuning in to what they're saying
Yeah.
and their nonverbal cues, too.
Yeah, I know I can get caught up in multitasking sometimes
Of course, we all do.
and not truly be present,
Yeah.
even when I think I am.
Absolutely.
So attention is really key.
It is, and acceptance goes right along with that.
Okay.
It's about embracing your partner for who they truly are.
Mm.
Quirks and all, without trying to change them or mold them into some ideal.
Yeah, that can be tough sometimes,
Oh, of course.
especially when you have that vision of who you want them to be in your head.
Right. We all have expectations and preferences.
Yeah.
But it's so important to remember that real love allows space for each person to be themselves.
So it's about letting go of control
Absolutely.
and accepting our partners as they are,
Exactly.
even if they don't perfectly match our fantasy.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got attention, acceptance. What about appreciation?
Appreciation is about really seeing and valuing all the good in your partner,
Okay.
noticing and appreciating their positive qualities, the things they do for you,
Right.
the things that bring you joy,
Even the small everyday stuff.
especially the small everyday stuff.
Yeah, like noticing that they made coffee in the morning or
Exactly.
picked up your favorite snack at the store.
Right. It's about those little gestures that show you they care.
Yeah, so it's really about shifting your focus
Mm-hmm.
from what's wrong to what's right
Exactly.
and appreciating all the good that's already there.
Yes, and that shift in perspective can make a world of difference in the relationship.
Now, affection, that seems pretty straightforward, right?
Well, on the surface, yes.
Yeah.
Hugs, kisses, holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
But affection goes deeper than that.
Okay.
It's about expressing your love in ways that resonate with your partner,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time together.
Yeah, it's about making them feel loved
Exactly.
and appreciated in ways that they understand.
Yes, and that's why it's so important to talk to your partner about what
Yeah.
makes them feel loved and appreciated, because it might not be the same for everyone.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and then there's this last one, allowing.
Right.
That one seems a little more abstract to me.
It is a bit more subtle.
Yeah.
It's about giving your partner space to be themselves,
Okay.
space for their emotions, their thoughts, their experiences,
Mm.
without judgment or the need to control them.
So it's about letting them be who they are
Exactly.
and not trying to fit them into some box.
Right, and it's about trusting that they have the capacity to navigate their own emotions
Yeah.
and make their own choices, even if those choices aren't what you would choose.
Yeah, that sounds challenging,
It can be.
especially if you're used to trying to fix things or steer your partner in a certain direction.
It does take practice,
Yeah.
but it's so important for creating that sense of autonomy and respect in the relationship.
So these 5 A's are like the foundation
Mm-mm.
of a healthy adult relationship.
Yes.
But of course, relationships are complicated,
Very.
and we all have our baggage.
We do.
How do our past experiences, especially from childhood, influence our relationships?
Well, you're absolutely right. Our past experiences, and especially those early childhood experiences, really shape our beliefs, our expectations,
Yeah.
and how we respond emotionally in relationships.
Right.
And sometimes we end up recreating dynamics
Yeah.
that are familiar, even if they're not healthy for us.
Yeah, it's like we're drawn to what we know,
Yes,
even if it's not good for us.
because it feels comfortable on some level.
Right. So how do we break free?
Well, that's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay.
It's about becoming aware of our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Without judgment, it's about pausing,
Yeah.
observing your reactions,
Oh, yeah.
asking yourself, why am I feeling this way?
So instead of just reacting,
Yeah,
you take a moment to become aware
exactly.
of what's driving that reaction.
And that awareness gives you the power to choose how you respond,
Okay.
rather than just repeating those old patterns.
And that can be incredibly helpful, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when things get a little bit heated.
Especially when things get heated.
So how do we deal with those conflicts?
Right.
The blame, the anger that sometimes comes up.
Well, Dr. Richo suggests that we try to see those difficult emotions,
Mm-hmm.
not as enemies, but as opportunities for growth and understanding. So instead of getting caught in the blame game,
Right.
he suggests that we turn inward and ask ourselves, what's going on inside of me?
Okay.
What unmet need or unresolved hurt might be contributing to this anger?
So the anger is really a symptom of something deeper.
Often, yes.
It's like a signpost pointing to an unmet need.
Exactly. And when we can identify and address that underlying need, the anger often just dissipates.
That makes sense.
It takes the focus off of blaming your partner and puts it back on understanding yourself
Right.
and your own emotional landscape.
That's a powerful shift.
It is.
It's not about denying the anger,
Yeah.
but rather exploring it with curiosity
Yes.
and compassion.
Exactly. What's the message behind the anger? What's it trying to tell you?
And I imagine that can be pretty challenging,
It can be.
especially if you're not used to looking inward in that way.
It does take practice,
Yeah.
but the rewards are worth it.
So this all sounds incredibly insightful.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when years of unaddressed issues start to resurface? How do we avoid being overwhelmed by what Dr. Richo calls landslides of grief?
He uses that phrase to describe what happens when we suppress or avoid dealing with those difficult emotions.
Mhm.
We might sweep things under the rug or try to bottle up our feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually all that unaddressed stuff can come crashing down like a landslide.
Like years of accumulated hurt and resentment.
Yes.
Creating this huge emotional burden that becomes too heavy to bear.
Exactly. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Yeah.
You can push it down, but eventually it's going to pop back up with even more force.
Okay, so how do we prevent those emotional landslides?
The key is to address those emotions as they come up,
Mm-hmm.
to create space for healing and growth within the relationship.
Right.
It's not about dwelling on the past,
Right.
but about processing it in a healthy way so you can move forward.
This makes me think about forgiveness.
Yeah.
Is it always necessary to forgive our partners for past hurts?
Well, forgiveness is complex.
Yeah.
It's not always easy or straightforward. Dr. Richo emphasizes the importance of self-forgiveness first and foremost.
So forgiving ourselves.
Yes.
Even if our partner hasn't necessarily asked for forgiveness.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging our own mistakes and imperfections and extending compassion to ourselves.
So letting go of guilt and shame that
Mm.
we might be carrying.
Yes, and when we forgive ourselves, it becomes easier to extend forgiveness to others.
Okay.
It's not about condoning hurtful behavior,
Right.
but about releasing ourselves from that burden of resentment.
So it sounds like forgiveness is really more about finding inner peace
Yes.
than it is about absolving someone else of their actions.
Exactly. It's about freeing yourself from that negative energy that resentment holds.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean forgetting or condoning the past,
Right.
but choosing to move forward without that weight of anger or bitterness.
That's a really powerful perspective.
It is.
Shifting from blame and judgment
Mm-hmm.
to healing and understanding.
Exactly. And when we can approach relationships from that place of understanding and compassion, it makes it so much easier to navigate those challenges that inevitably come up.
Now, this makes me think about compromise.
Okay.
Is it always necessary to meet in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Or are there times when it's okay to stand your ground?
Well, compromise is essential in any relationship,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't come at the expense of your own values or well-being.
Right.
Dr. Richo encourages us to set healthy boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and to communicate our needs assertively.
So it's not about always giving in,
You know.
but finding that balance.
Yeah.
that respects both people's needs and boundaries.
Exactly. It's about open and honest communication,
Yeah.
listening to each other's perspectives,
Yeah.
and finding solutions that work for both of you.
And that requires a lot of self-awareness,
It does.
doesn't it?
Yes.
To know your own needs and boundaries.
Absolutely. It's about knowing yourself well enough to understand what you're willing to compromise on and what's non-negotiable. It's about being true to yourself while also respecting your partner's needs and limits.
And it seems like this all ties back
Mm-hmm.
to this concept of being an adult in relationships.
It does.
It's about taking responsibility for our own happiness and well-being
Yes,
while also contributing to a healthy and fulfilling partnership.
exactly. It's about approaching relationships with maturity, intentionality, and a willingness to grow.
Both individually and together.
Yes.
You know, as we've been talking, I've been thinking about how these principles apply not just to romantic relationships,
Right.
but to all kinds of relationships in our lives.
That's a great point.
Yeah, these 5 A's. Attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection,
Yeah.
and allowing,
Yes.
we can apply those
Absolutely.
to our relationships with family members, friends, colleagues, even ourselves.
Yes, it's about cultivating those qualities in all of our interactions.
Right, so whether it's offering a listening ear to a friend,
Mm-hmm.
or expressing gratitude to a family member,
Yes.
or even practicing self-compassion,
Absolutely.
these principles can really enhance all aspects of our lives.
It can.
It's like they provide a universal language for connection and understanding,
Yes.
regardless of the specific relationship dynamic.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
This has been such a great conversation.
It has.
Dr. Richo's work offers so much wisdom
It does.
for navigating these complex human relationships.
Yes, it's about embracing those opportunities for growth, connection, and understanding in all areas of life.
So as we kind of wrap up this first part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to encourage our listeners to reflect on these 5 A's. Attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing.
Yes.
How can you bring these principles to life in your own relationships?
That's a great question.
What small steps can you take today
Yeah.
to cultivate more mindful and loving connections?
Beautiful. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and your loved ones as you embark on this path of growth and connection.
And if you want to delve deeper into Dr. Richo's work, be sure to check out his book, How to Be an Adult in Relationships: The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving.
Yes.
It's really a treasure trove of wisdom and practical guidance
Absolutely.
that can transform your approach to relationships.
Yes. And if you're someone who's really committed to growing as a person
Yeah,
and having more meaningful, fulfilling relationships, this book is for you.
absolutely.
And as always, thank you for joining us on Mighty Habits.
Yes.
We're here to support you on your journey of personal growth and discovery.
Yeah.
Until next time, may your relationships be filled with love, understanding, and the transformative power of the 5 A's.
Beautifully said.
And don't forget to subscribe or follow Mighty Habits for regular updates on our latest deep dives.
See you next time.
Bye.